In the last video, we discussed second generation computer. Next, we move on to the third generation computer, its integrated circuit. The third generation began with the widespread use of the silicon chip, also known as the integrated chips. The silicon age has begun. In the age it's used in computer called integrated chips. It was conducted from 1964 to 1971 during the microprocessor generation. During the third generation, technology invest shift from a huge transistor to integrated circuits, also referred to the IC. Here, a variety of transistors were placed on silicon chip called semiconductors. A single IC has many transistors integrated and capacitors built on the thin slice of silicon. In briefly, we can consider IC is a integrated circuit, sometimes called a chip. Microprocessor, microelectronic circuit, is a semiconductor wafer on the which thousand or million of tiny transistor, capacitors, diodes and transistors are fabricated. An IC can function as an amplifier, timer, counter, logic gates, computer memory, microcontroller or microprocessor. The creation and the development of the transistor was began at this time. Transistors were used to create more efficient device by reducing the size of electronic device. This was used by United States and the other countries to develop these devices for the production of military equipment. During this time, the US government had several similar contracts with various companies and various agencies were conducting separate experiment to the design semiconductor device. During this time, Jack Kilby is said to have invented the first integrated circuit. Jack Kilby created the IC in the 1960s. Kilby was awarded the 2000 Nobel Prize in Physics for his contribution of the discovery of integrated circuit. At the same time, Robert Noyce invented the integrated circuit. The value size was the reduced and the memory space dealing efficiency were increasing during this generation. Program has now without high level language like BASIC. Microcomputer found their shapes during this era. The Apollo Guidance Computer is a digital computer designed for the Apollo program and installed on each Apollo command module and Apollo lunar modules. The AGC provides computing and electronic interface for the spacecraft guidance, navigation and control. Let's we go to this generation main characteristic. It uses main electronic component integrated circuit. This generation update memory, large magnetic core, magnetic tape and magnetic disk. Many program language developed. High level language like Fortran, Basic, Pascal, COBOL, C-like programming language were developed during this age. This generation computer becomes size smaller, cheaper and more efficient than second generation computer. Next major improvement was speed. Improve the speed and reliability in the computers. This age completely removed punch card. That age used input and output device in magnetic tape, keyboard, monitor, printers. Example for this generation computer IBM 360, IBM 370, PDP-11, UNIVAC computers example for this generation computers. Let's we look at advantage of this generation computer. Smaller in size as compared to previous generation. Those computers were more reliable, used lesser energy and produced lesser heat as compared to the previous two generation computers. It had better speed and could calculate data in nanoseconds. Used span for heat discharge to prevent damage. Maintenance cost was low because hardware failure was rare. Best advantage was totally general purpose computers. Could be used for the high level programming language. Higher storage capacity than the previous generation computer and versatile to the excellent. higher storage capacity than the previous generation computers. Also lesser expensive, more accurate than previous used mouse and keyboard for inputs. But we have to look at disadvantage. Let's we go to the what are the disadvantage were in this generation. This generation computer air condition was necessary. The highly sophisticated technology required the production of integrated chip. Integrated circuit could be not easily repaired. The integrated circuit were extremely complex and required highly skilled works. Integrated circuit required sophisticated technology to be the manufactured. Those are the disadvantages of this era. Now we look at difference between second generation and third generation computers. Its time period can be defined in 1956 to 1963, second generation 1964 to 1971. Major used electronic component used transistor, third generation used integrated circuit. Let's we look at who developed this component. Transistor was designed and developed by Walter Brattain, John Barton and William Shockley. Integrated circuit was invented by Jack Kilby. Compare these two ages. Second generation computers were huge size, but third generation are compact in space and size. Needed huge space for installation in second generation, required lesser space for an installation compared to the second generation of computers. In third generation, generated heat and energy second generation, but lesser amount of heat was generated in third generation. Second generation computer are expensive machines, but third generation computer comparatively cheaper. Second generation computer use punch card for input and output device, but third generation use keyboard and monitors were used in the input and output. Second generation lesser storage capacity, but third generation computer more advanced storage capacity. Second generation slow computers, but third generation faster operating computers than the second generation computers. Second generation computer Fortran and COBOL language are used, but third generation computer multitasking and multi-programming machines. I believe in this video you make clear picture of third generation computers. Let's we go to the next generation, fourth generation computers.